Hi, I'm Gordy from Park and Sell Auto. I just picked this car up at the Minneapolis Auto Auction. It was a pretty nice car. I bought it for one of my customers. But just like everything that we buy, they all need a little something, so I'm pulling it in to take care of a few things. I've been buying and selling cars for probably 25 or 30 years. I've been a collision repair technician, auto body shop manager, inspected cars for insurance companies. Just about anything you can do with a car, I've probably done. So I figured that the best thing for me to do now is just to help people find good cars. I use my experience as a tool to locate good cars that don't require much maintenance. I've recognized over the past 3 or 4 or 5 years that the cost of car repair is getting exceedingly high. The cost of parts is going up 10%, 15% every year. So it totally makes sense that whatever car you buy should be in as good a condition as possible, so that you can avoid some of those pitfalls, expensive pitfalls later on. Although nobody can guarantee you that you'll never have any trouble, the fact that we minimize things by doing our diligence should be a huge plus for anybody shopping for a good used car.
When looking for a car, what's the worst mistake you can make?
Well, I'd have to say by not planning. If you get into a situation where you have to have a car now, you're going to be under pressure to find something right away. And generally, when people come to me and they're looking for a car and they meet one right away, they wind up getting a car from someone else. And most of the time I get calls saying, hey, can you take a look at this car? It needs something. It needs brakes, or it needs exhaust, or it needs something. Those expensive repairs that I was talking about before. By planning your next car purchase, you can decide exactly what you want. You can plan for the future, and if you're patient, you can get a great deal on the car that you want that will last you for a long time. The thing that I stress is low cost of ownership. Are the shocks in good condition? Are the brakes in good condition? Is this car going to need exhaust in the next year or two? All these repairs are getting very, very expensive. Not to mention the cost of a tow. A tow across town right now, if your car breaks down, 6 blocks cost you $100. Let's try to avoid that.
So when do you know when it's time to be looking to purchase another car?
Well, there's several things that factor into that. A lot of people tell me, well, they got a new job and they're going to be traveling a lot more, or they're going to be using their car for work. Say they're getting a mileage reimbursement or something like that. So it's important to pick out a really good car that they're going to be comfortable sitting in all day. Those are the kinds of things that I help people do. Another good reason, or another reason you know that it's time to shop for a car, is when you're starting to get bad news from your mechanic when you take it in, say for some normal service. They'll say, hey, this is leaking, that's leaking, and then you ask them what the cost will be and you get this huge number. That's the time to be thinking about, well, maybe I should be thinking about planning a car purchase over the next 6 months or so, and start to budget and think about what you really want, or consult somebody like me, you know, a purchase consultant, who can help you determine what your needs are and what best fits into your budget. Say you got a baby on the way. Maybe you should get rid of that hot rod and buy a minivan. You know, those are the kinds of things. Or lots of people come to me, my son's going to school, or I need a car for my son or daughter as a graduation present. Plan it. Think about it, think ahead, and then, you know, budget it, and then we can come up with something pretty nice. So when you get into a panic and you need something right away, you haven't put yourself in a very good position. If you plan, you can really save some money, especially if you work with somebody that knows what he's looking for you and buys you a nice vehicle.
In your experience, what are the negative aspects people experience when shopping for a new car?
Okay, well that happens a lot when people are looking to buy cars from the owner. they want to buy from a private party. They get on the internet or they look through the newspaper and they see a great price on a car and they think it's a fantastic deal, only to go and drive who knows how far and spend all kinds of time to arrive at somebody's home or somebody's place of business to look at a car that's just in very poor condition, or it was previously rebuilt and wrecked, or it has a salvage designation on the title. Those kinds of things will discourage a lot of people. And look at the time you spent doing this. And with today's busy schedules everybody has, who has the time for that kind of stuff? You're far better off having somebody kind of sort through all these pitfalls and pick out a car that's going to be reliable and still cost relatively less than you would if you went to, say, the big box dealer. Speaking of big box dealers, you know, there's not a lot wrong with going to some of the big box dealerships like the Ford dealership or the Chevy dealership. You can find nice cars there. The trouble you have sometimes is that there's some negativity that goes along with dealing with car dealers, and then there's the haggling back and forth. But you're going to pay full price. There are not very many bargains to be had. And then also, choose the time of year that best kind of helps you as far as the price of the car is concerned. Like buying an SUV like this in Minnesota in November, expect to pay up for it. You're going to pay a premium price for it. If you wanted a luxury vehicle, like say an Acura RSX or a TL or something like that, buying after Thanksgiving, you'll be able to get it for quite a bit less, because the sellers are motivated to sell. They may need a little bit of money. Sales are down. So I can generally get pretty good deals on those kinds of cars and convertibles in the wintertime. So the time of year, just like you don't want to go shopping for a convertible in the spring, you're going to pay quite a bit of money for it. So timing is a big thing, and that kind of goes back to planning the car purchase.
Gordy, what are the advantages of using a professional to handle the purchase for you?
Well, a professional like me that buys and sells 50, 60, 80 cars a year, we've seen a lot of cars. We've seen a lot of good cars and we've seen a lot of bad cars. I can take a look at a car, and in 10 minutes I can tell whether the owner hated the car or liked the car. I can tell whether it's been well taken care of, or I can tell whether it's been abused. It's almost like a sixth sense. I might spot maybe a little bit of paint work or something on the back of a car, which will make me think, well, okay, there's been some paint work done here. So what am I going to do? I'm going to investigate further. I'm not going to let a little bit of paint work discourage me if it's just an isolated thing. Maybe a small dent was taken out. If everything else about the car is pristine, it makes no sense to pass on a car that's had a little bit of paint work done or a little bit of body work done. It would not make sense to pass on that car if everything else about it was good and if I could get it for the right price. So another thing, guys like me, take a look at what I'm wearing. I'm not afraid to get dirty. I'm not afraid to crawl underneath the car and really look it over close. Take for instance this car. If you look it over, I don't know just how well the camera is going to show, but all the paint on this car is original. It's a high-end car. It's got xenon headlights. It's got a power sunroof. It's got leather interior, heated seats. Take a look at these tires. You know, they're in great condition. If you can look through the wheels, you can see the brakes are almost like brand new. It's a high-end brake job with good quality parts. There are no scuffs or scratches, no rips or anything on the mud flaps. Everything is secured properly. This is a very nice example of a car that I like to provide for my customers. So when you use a person like me that buys quite a few cars, I can use my experience and my buying power to get a great deal for my customers. This car here has an average retail selling price. The NADA value of this car is $13,100. I sold it to my customer for $11,500. It was a great deal. So she'll drive it for many years, and on top of that, I'm going to tell her how she's going to take care of it, so that she can drive this car for many more years, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, and have relatively little trouble with it. Therefore, the cost of ownership is going to be far less than if you would go to a big box dealership, pay full price, and then pay big money for maintenance that you may or may not need. Thanks for spending the time to look at this, my website and my video. We're planning some neat things in the future for this website and for you. We're going to have a blog, and you can sign up for this blog, and you'll get it in the form of an email. It's going to be called Under the Hood with Gordy. I'm going to tell people about the things that they should be thinking about when it comes to maintaining their cars and their upkeep. Cost-effective measures. I can get you specials in places like CarX and some of these other places for oil changes and transmission fluid flushes. The things that you need to do to maintain your car to keep it running for a long time. And you know what else that does? It preserves its value. When it's time to trade it in, it's worth more. It's a win-win situation. So again, thanks for visiting my website. I'm Gordy Mans at Park and Sell Automart. Let me kick the tires for you.